Hey guys, and welcome back. 16 years we've been waiting for X-Men Apocalypse, and it's finally here, so let's talk about it. Alright, so X-Men Apocalypse is the first real X-Men movie since the massive reset button to the X-Men timeline that was Days of Future Past. I say real X-Men movie because Deadpool is in the X-Men universe, but it's not necessarily an X-Men movie. So this movie had a lot of shit on its plate, and I mean like a lot of shit was on this movie's plate. Not only did it have to pick up the pieces of a shattered timeline, it had to tell its own coherent story, reintroduce us to new versions of familiar characters, and piece that all together in one movie. So it had a lot of stuff on its plate. And I thought this movie did it exceptionally well. Everything in this movie was fully coherent and it just flowed very, very nicely. To go through every single cast member in this movie and talk about how they did would just take forever. I don't have forever. I only have a couple minutes because you guys will probably get bored. Every single cast member in this movie did a fantastic job. All the returning cast members, Michael Fassbender, James McAvoy, they all do an excellent performance. Every single time they play these characters, they do an awesome job, and it was good to see them not only return, but to see further depth given to their characters. It was really good to see them come back. All the new characters playing some familiar characters with new twists on them, and some just new characters we've never even seen in this universe before, did outstanding. Every single performance in this movie was really good, and not one person outshined the next person. It was a very well-balanced movie, and I was very impressed by it. One thing I didn't really consider about this movie before going in, and it kind of hit me when I was watching it, is the X-Men movies, they're not very visually driven movies. There are some very heavy visuals at certain points, but on the whole, they're not big CGI spectacles like, say, the Transformers movies or some bullshit like that. And this movie really stepped it up visually. I've never really known Bryan Singer to be a very visual director, and he definitely stepped up his game in this movie. The visuals were just absolutely outstanding, and it wasn't CGI for the sake of CGI. It actually had a point to it, which was also really cool, because you could just throw CGI in every single shot like some directors do, and it just ruins the movie. In this movie, not the case. The visuals were very well done and very well utilized. So going into this movie, if you saw my trailer review for X-Men Apocalypse, I had a couple concerns that were kind of worrying me. The first was Jennifer Lawrence's Mystique. The way the trailers were portraying it, it seemed like they were going to be giving her a much bigger role. They were going to be making her basically the Katniss of the X-Men, which I wasn't too crazy about. I thought it was going to be the Jennifer Lawrence show, and they were going to be bringing her to the forefront. And they didn't do that. Like, Mystique is a very prominent character in the movie, but no more so than she was in Days of Future Past. If anything, she was a lesser character than she was in Days of Future Past. The entire plot doesn't revolve around her. Yes, she's a key member of the movie, but it's not the Mystique show or the Jennifer Lawrence show by any means at all. Another concern that I had was Oscar Isaac as Apocalypse. Oscar Isaac, like I said in my trailer review, he's a very good actor. I really like him. I liked him in The Force Awakens and in Ex Machina and the other movies I've seen him in. He's a very good actor. I just didn't see him as the menacing villain. And I'll be the first to tell you, I was dead fucking wrong. Oscar Isaac absolutely killed it as Apocalypse. He's not like the big, physically formidable villain that Apocalypse is in the cartoons and the comic books, but he puts his own stamp on it. He's still extremely menacing and is definitely one of the best villains that the X-Men franchise has given us to date. Now, another problem that I had going into this movie, and it's still, like I said in my trailer review, it's not a problem with the movie itself, it's a problem with the fucking trailers. There was so much shit that they put into the trailers for this movie that if it wasn't used in the trailer, it would have blown me away. One scene in particular, which is already spoiled in the trailer, but I'm not going to tell you exactly, but I will tell you how Deadpool would say it. It rhymes with pulverine. And if the trailer had not shown me that little snippet, if it just totally left me unprepared to see something like that at all, that would have just been, it would have blown my mind. It would have been that much cooler. It was still really, really cool in the movie, don't get me wrong. But if the trailer could just lay back and just not give away any of these reveals, it would be that much better. And the last thing I want to say, it's not really pertaining to this movie. Well, it kind of is. In the past year or the past couple months, Rotten Tomatoes and like what critics think of movies has become a real big deal for some reason. I don't know why. And a good example would be this movie. Rotten Tomatoes, I think, gave it like a 50-something% rotten rating or something like that. And just because critics don't like a movie doesn't mean that you shouldn't go see it. I mean, I'm telling you that I really like this movie, and you could go watch the same movie and dislike it. Movies are subjective. That's what makes movies movies. So if a movie gets like a rotten rating or a fresh rating, don't go into it with that preconceived notion that somebody else gave you, because that's just fucking stupid and ruins the entire viewing experience for you. So whatever a critic tells you, whether it's good or bad, fuck what they say. Take their opinion for what it is, but don't make it your own. Go see the movie and judge it for yourself. Okay, so out of the 5 ratings that I have available, I don't think it's even like I don't even have to think about it at this point. I give X-Men Apocalypse a top shelf. I thought it was an excellent addition into the X-Men franchise. Thought it rebooted the timeline very, very well. I love to see all the new rebooted versions of the characters, and it made me excited for what they do next. I have no idea where this franchise is going to go, but wherever it does go, I'm fucking excited for it. So that's all for today. Be sure to subscribe. Tune in next week for another episode of Movies and Brews. And a little side note. Pretty sure I'm in love with Olivia Munn. Just saying.